PA Academics. You're watching Dental Strings. Please follow us on Instagram for more handwritten notes. Today we are going to discuss the mandibular fracture. In that we are going to discuss about the classification of mandibular fractures. The classification of mandibular fracture are in several ways. We'll start with the first one, the general classification or the Kruger's general classification. There are 7 on the basis of general classification. The first one is simple or closed. These are linear fractures, does not have external communication, or it may or may not be displaced. For example, fracture in region of condyle, coronoid process and ascending ramus, etc. They do not have an external communication. The fracture is within the oral cavity or within the skin. The second one is the compound or open, example, or fractures involving the tooth bearing area of the mandible. Here they have a communication with the external environment through skin or with the internal environment through the mucosa. I mean, the fracture is inside it, but it has a connection with the mucosa, internal fracture in that ways. And external in intraoral wound is present involving fracture line. As you can see in the picture, there is an bone which is seen outside the skin. The communication is there and it may have infection later on. The third one is the comminuted fracture. For example, gunshot wounds where missiles are traveling at a high velocity. Bone is splintered or crushed into multiple pieces, and these occurs generally due to greater degree of violence or highly velocity impact. Here you can see that the maxilla, the zygomatic arch is crushed into smaller pieces because of some trauma or maybe other thing. The fourth one is the complicated or complex. Here the fracture usually leads to injury to inferior alveolar nerve or vessels. As you can see in the picture that these will definitely be a harm to inferior alveolar nerve. Condylar fractures with associated injury are also an example. Moving further, the fifth of it is the impacted or the impacted fracture. This is more common in falls and car accidents, and here what happened is one fragment firmly is driven into the another one, like one is hit by the another. So it is rarely seen in mandibular fractures, but it is highly seen in the maxillary fractures. As you can see in the picture that the process of mandible is into the zygomatic arch due to some trauma or fracture. Then we will see the green stick fracture. Now these fracture looks, why is it called green stick? Because it looks very similar. When you try to break a small branch, the green, one part is bent and the other one is straight. So it is like a branch of a tree. So that is why you call it green stick, and it is highly seen in children because their bone haven't developed completely. The growth has not been completed. So you can see that one part is bent and the other one is straight. The last one is the pathological one. This is because weakness caused due to the pre-existing pathology like carcinoma or maybe some other body or blood diseases. These weaknesses can be due to generalized skeletal disease and localized. The generalized may be endocrinal, developmental or systematic disorders which usually develop and leads to this, and skeletal is cyst, odontomes, osteomyelitis, like I said, tumors and osteoradioid necrosis. Now this was the first part where we have seen the general classification. Now we will see the anatomical location, and the second one, this is the second classification. The first one was on the basis of the general classification, whether it's complex or that, but here it is relation to the anatomy of particular bone. Dingman and Netwig classification by anatomic region, this was given by this. Imagine this is a mandible, and please ignore my drawing, but it's just mandible. It is divided into its parts: coronoid, condylar, angle, ramus of the body. As you can see that the condylar and coronoid process constitute about 1% and 29%. The angle of is 25%, the body is 22%, and the symphysis region is 16% of the overall fracture. These are the percentages which give the overall fracture rate of the mandible. And in the alveolar process there is 3% of the fracture chances of what is usually been seen. And as we can see that the symphysis fracture is usually the midline fracture, and canine region fractures are seen. There is a fracture between the body of mandible and canine and the angle. Also the angle region fracture, what happens is it is usually bounded by two border, that is the ramus and the posterior superior attachment of the masseter. Now what happens is the ramus region is bounded by two things. The two lines in that area will be forming an apex at a sigmoid notch, and these sigmoid notch will be, these two lines will form a point upwards, and there is a superior aspect of the angle in that area. So in this region is highly prone to that, and there is then coronoid region, condylar fracture, dentoalveolar fracture, depends on the type of the trauma the patient has underwent through. Now let's discuss the classification on the base of direction of fracture and favorability of the treatment. What is favorability? So there is one unfavorable and there is favorable. Now usually the treatment part of these is important, because favorable ones are the one which can be easily treated, but the unfavorable one are the one which are usually difficult to treat. The favorable one is where the muscle pools resist the displacement, it resists the displacement of the fragments, and the other one is the muscle pool distract fragments away from each other, resulting in displacement. So that is the unfavorable one. Now we could see that there is two main classification, horizontal fracture and vertical, and horizontal favorable, horizontal unfavorable, vertical favorable and vertical unfavorable. Let's discuss with the horizontal one. Now if you see favorable fracture, the first one is the line passes from backwards and downwards. So what happened is, let me explain with the part. Imagine this is the mandible, the piece of paper is the mandible. Now this one is the first category. The line passes from alveolar margin. If you can see, the line passes from alveolar margin downward and forward. So this one is the favorable one. If you see, this one is the lesser fragment and this one is the greater fragment, and the lesser fragment is not displaceable. Also the second one where displacement is very easy. Now we move on to the vertical fracture, vertical favorable and vertical unfavorable. Imagine this is the mandible consisting of the teeth, the alveolar portion basically, and there is a fracture from the buccal side toward the lingual side. So what happened is displacement of posterior fragment can be noticed due to the spasm of muscle in the medial direction. These type of fractures are usually great at treatment, because the displacement of the posterior segment, that is the lesser fragment, is well treated. We can apply plates, wiring, and also IMF can be done in cases of where it is a severe injury, but these will have a good outcome. What happens in unfavorable is the posterior segment, which is attached to other structures, will not heal properly because of constant movement. Here the fracture line passes from lingual side and backward towards the buccal side. So the inner lingual plate obliquely runs backward and buccally. These will result in movement of posterior fragment as the result of muscle pull. So this is why this will have a poor treatment plan, and proper diagnosis should be taken. This is a real picture of a more better picture of it, as my drawing was not acceptable a bit. So here you can see as more defined. Thank you. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel.